Extras. Redcaps are a fairly odd entry in Monster Manual 3. They're supposed to gain power with every kill, but that concept is represented only behind the scenes by giving them massive, yet not particularly interesting, scaling bonuses as they gain hit dice. Though they do have powerful build, allowing them most of the benefits of medium size despite being small, so that's cool. Mine got a few Tome of Battle abilities to make him a more interesting warrior, rather than just a big block of stats. Or a small block of big stats. Now, somebody brought in this guy, all the way from the Feywild, to act as some kind of insane drill sergeant for the mutated Warbond guys, or perhaps a general to lead them into battle, all of which raises more questions than it answers. But how evil are Redcaps? Well, there are a lot of varieties of evil in D&D. There's lawful evil, like a tyrant who cracks down on his subjects, hides behind the law, and may or may not apply the law selectively to his own benefit. Then there's neutral evil, which I might characterize as a selfish individual, willing to do virtually anything to accomplish their goals, or simply to enrich themselves. And finally, there's chaotic evil, which tends to be a pure might-makes-right point of view, including beings who live only for battle and don't care if innocents get hurt, or alternatively, a crazy one seeking to end the world just because they can. But Redcaps, they don't have any real goals other than to kill and absorb more victims' life force. A truly horrific villain might burn down an orphanage to distract the heroes, or for revenge, or to make a point. But a Redcap would not burn down the orphanage, because he wants to go from bed to bed with a knife. So, although in a sense Redcaps in my world are warriors who love battle, a real warrior like Little One would be offended by the way the Redcap is equally happy killing a great champion or murdering a defenseless child. That said, he didn't really intend to whirlwind attack his own quasi-mindless allies. There was no advantage to it. But he rolled a 1 to hit, and while I don't normally or systematically penalize fumbles, it was pretty badass to make him kill his own men. What about the murder? The Neogi are a race of abominations who are little known to the people of the Fadelands, but they have an old and fairly strong civilization on one of the other continents in the Shadowfell, based on, you guessed it, slavery. In their case, an exotic hybrid of mind control and the traditional slave trade. A Neogi riding and or burrowed into the back of an Umberhulk thrall is a pretty classic image of the little dominating bug bastards, which goes way back in D&D. When the Rajas declared that they would make no more bargains with Redcaps, that would be a pretty easy promise to make. Now, those guys are destructive and insane, and with enough Fey heritage to still drive a difficult bargain, and maybe even slip something past you. Now, declaring they would no longer do business with Neogi was actually a big statement, because it would mean cutting off all business, or whatever you call it, from an entire old, significant civilization, one wealthy in magic, property, and probably wealthy in whatever the heck karma is. Because that thing the Rajas talk about and quantify is clearly not the same as the concept of karma from Eastern Earth religions. At least not exactly. They're supposed to tell us about the murder. These Rajas, who appear to be all about making and keeping deals, who present themselves in their natural form, who have vast knowledge of strange magics, and who would rather talk than fight. Angel isn't an expert on myths and monsters of her native Feywild, but she had heard of Rakshashas, and these guys were almost nothing like the tales. Rakshashas are known as nefarious shapeshifters, who use their mind-reading and disguise abilities to wreak havoc, slay, and steal whatever they want. Many tales are told of them infiltrating organizations, starting feuds, or even wars. Their natural form is humanoid, but with an animal head and backwards wrists. And even then, the wrist thing is actually more of a myth that arose from their extremely flexible wrists, which have nearly a 360-degree range of motion, similar to an owl's neck, but much stronger than you'd expect from a joint that can twist around like that. It's also a good D&D lore excuse for my being lazy and only drawing their hands from one side. Now, some of that could almost be reconciled with the ones the party met, the Rajas, but it doesn't quite follow. The Rakshashas of legend are virtually never seen in their natural form until they are slain, and they are known as borderline compulsive liars, where the Rajas are all about keeping their word.
What about the murder?
Near those crystals Lord Kintamazu was studying, the ones he activated to feebly attack, to shield him, and to move him around the room, there was a very tall spiral stairway. Once they brokered a truce, he explained that it led more than a mile upward, past the lake floor and up into the island city of Eloia, at least the lowest levels of it. So they could leave the ancient Adar complex in that direction, a much quicker way to his portal than back through the tunnel, but they would have to somehow get past the Psionic Academy's own researchers and guardians, who keep tight control over the island. Getting caught there with the Rakshasa would raise a lot of questions, though nobody ever said he wouldn't shapeshift if there was a good reason. If they had killed him, though, the stairway would have been a convenient way out, and a dead Rakshasa would probably be a lot easier to explain to the island's authorities than a live one. It might even get them out of trouble.
What about the murder?
Kintamazu! Kintamazu!
I am busy, Zonparabara. What do you require?
Require? I require that you fulfill your side of our bargain. Rein in the humans before they draw attention to us. If this vendetta continues, they may bring down the Academy on my operation.
I am aware of Patel's transgression, and I have already arranged for a bank manager to undo his petty actions, insofar as it is possible to do so.
Insofar? Insofar? You are required to do everything in your power to maintain the secrecy of this place and of my experiments.
Our arrangement requires that I make all reasonable efforts to do so. The distinction is critical. Furthermore, in order to locate willing test subjects per our agreement, we required knowledge of all intended or likely effects of your experiments. The control of or other restriction of the subject's free will, which I have witnessed, appeared nowhere in the information you provided, and, as such, I am granted full discretion to void our pact at any time, should I so choose.
Perhaps that is true, perhaps. But you will not void it, will you? Nor should you underestimate my own fey-craft. I think you would find this unexpected but convenient side effect of my surgical transmutation would be justified under a carefully indexed exception clause.
Regardless, you are on perilous ground when you attempt to deceive a Raj.
Threaten this, mystery that, yes. The fact is, if you allowed my men to regulate the villagers, that human's transgression would never have occurred.
You required willing participants. We found you those who sought power, and who are willing to assume the risks, but their consent grows more tenuous with each mishap, and unleashing that renegade Formian upon them will only turn them against you.
Bah! Bah! How you weak-willed number-crunchers attain such power, I will never understand. But I hold you responsible, and if you still wish to gain anything from our bargain, I demand that you deal with that
Patel.
That you deal with that Patel personally.
Lady Hazamura and I have crunched the numbers of our arrangement very carefully. I can assure you that we have met your every demand and expectation with due diligence. However, you are dealing with a Raj, and so, in the spirit of our bargain, I will make additional accommodations in this matter.
Very good, very good. Let us see if you have the will.
The ability to inflict harm is no measure of willpower.
I know why you came. You don't understand. They took my son. My son, killed for filthy KTs. I have to avenge him. What else is my wealth good for?
Your younger, saner self would have recognized that you are endangering your own people.
My son. My son.
But that's not why you were sacrificed. There are greater things at stake. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know if you have any questions about Tales from my D&D campaign, about the game setting, or about being a game master in general. I'm not really an expert, but I'll see what I can do.